if you ask most people what DNA is, they'll have half an idea that it's something to do with genetics and it's in all of our cells and it's how we pass on things to the next generation. But if you ask the same people what RNA is, most of them won't have a clue. In the Davis lab, we're very interested in RNA because we know it's life's key molecule and it's at the heart of so many processes in all of our cells. And without RNA, life as we know it would not exist. So, what we would like to do is to explain to people in simple words what RNA is and what it does. And to do that, we will look at the cell not as a cell, like you've learned in school, but as a busy factory of life. These factories of life are very, very busy. They're constantly moving with lots of moving parts and lots of interacting pieces. And they are able to process and build everything that they need to sustain themselves and to replicate themselves. They can make an entire new factory if they wish. And in the nucleus, which is like the office of the cell, of this cellular factory, there is a big book of instructions called DNA. Now, DNA is a list of instructions on how to make proteins. So, proteins are the key thing for doing anything in your cells. They're the effector molecules. They're the things that build things, make things. They're enzymes, all sorts of things. They're really vital to almost every biochemical process and the structural parts of the cells that we are made up of. But the problem is DNA is huge. If you unpack and unfold and uncoil all of the DNA in a single one of your cells, it will be 2 meters long. That's taller than me, and I'm really tall. So doing this and moving that around your cell is almost impossible. It just wouldn't be in any way feasible, and your factory would just stop functioning. You'd only be able to do one protein at a time. It would be completely impractical. So, to get past this, what the cell does is it finds the relevant page of this big, thick instruction book of DNA and it makes a photocopy of it. And this copy is enough instructions just to make the protein that you want. This photocopy is RNA. So it's a simpler, smaller version of a subsection of your DNA. That photocopy, those instructions, can then be brought out into your cellular factory, brought to the assembly line or ribosome, which is used to assemble proteins, and then the proteins can be assembled. This means that your cell can make many, many proteins all at once, which it desperately needs to do. If it was making one protein at a time, the process of life would be too slow and the cell would not survive. So you can have hundreds or thousands of these RNA instruction copies moving around your cell, going to the relevant place, and being made into proteins that the cell needs. So it's a very, very important messenger, but that's only one of its many functions.